Hello to you. I do hope you're well. Welcome to this GCSE Religious Studies video. I'm Ben Waddle, and today we are talking through key quotes for every topic for Islamic beliefs, teachings, and practices. So let's start with Tawhid, the oneness of God. And the Quran teaches Muslims there is no God but God. The Quran also teaches He is God the One, reflecting the fact Islam is a monotheistic religion. The Quran also teaches no one is comparable to him. For the nature of God, if you're writing about God's omnipotence, you could refer to the Quran, which teaches all power belongs to God. For omniscience, the Quran teaches God is aware of all things. For God is just, the Quran teaches that he upholds justice. And for God is merciful, the Quran teaches he is the Lord of mercy. For God is immanent, you could refer to the Quran, which teaches he is closer to you than your jugular vein. And for God is transcendent, the Quran teaches no one is comparable to him. For angels, the Quran teaches Muslims that God made angels messengers with 2, 3, or 4 pairs of wings. The Quran also teaches each person has angels before him and behind, watching over him by God's command. And finally, the Quran teaches he sends down angels with inspiration at his command to whichever servants he chooses. Our next topic is life after death, Akhira, and on the topic of Judgment Day, the Quran teaches that on that day you will be exposed and none of your secrets will remain hidden. On heaven, the Quran describes it as the garden promised to the pious and as a blessed reward. And in a description of hell, the Quran teaches that garments of fire will be tailored for those who disbelieve. Predestination is our next topic, and the Quran teaches there is a time decreed for everything. The Quran also teaches God has determined their destinies. Another quote on predestination is that no soul may die except with God's permission at a predestined time. And that's also a great quote to use on paper 2, theme B, if you are writing about euthanasia. And then a final quote on predestination, the Quran teaches that God's appointed time cannot be postponed. For prophethood, Risalah, the Quran teaches every community is sent a messenger. On Prophet Muhammad, who is known as the seal of the prophets, the Quran describes him as an excellent model. The Quran describes Ibrahim as devoutly obedient to God and true in faith. The Quran then, and the Quran says that the Quran is nothing less than a revelation that is sent to him. The Quran teaches it was taught to him by an angel, and of course that is referring to the angel Jibril. The Quran says that the Quran could not have been devised by anyone other than God, and it is described as guidance for mankind. On the other holy books, the Quran says that every community is sent a messenger, that the Quran is a confirmation of what was revealed before it, and throughout the Quran, the people of the book are addressed. Our next topic, our final topic on beliefs and teachings, is the imamate, which is unique for Shia Muslims. The Quran teaches, I am putting a successor on earth. And the Quran also teaches Muslims, obey God and the messenger and those in authority among you. Let's move on to the practices now. And we are starting with the Shahada. The words of the Shahada are that there is no God but God and Muhammad is his messenger. If we want to link this to the Quran, Surah 112 says he is God the One, God the Eternal, and that no one is comparable to him. For prayer, Salah, the Quran teaches, I created jinn and mankind only to worship me. The Quran teaches believers, bow down and prostrate yourselves. In the Hadith, Prophet Muhammad teaches that prayer is better than sleep. And in terms of the direction you should face when you pray, the Quran teaches Muslims, turn your face in the direction of the sacred mosque. A final quote is from the Hadith. The reward for congregational prayer is 27 times greater than praying on your own, illustrating why Friday prayers, for example, would be important. Our next topic is Sawm, fasting during Ramadan. The Quran teaches Muslims that fasting is prescribed for you. In terms of why this takes place in Ramadan, the Quran teaches it was in the month of Ramadan that the Quran was revealed. And then in terms of how you should fast, the Quran teaches to fast until nightfall. Our next practice is zakah, almsgiving. The Quran teaches Muslims to pay the prescribed alms. In terms of the recipients, you would want to refer to 2 or 3. The Quran teaches alms are meant only for the poor, the needy, those who administer them, those whose hearts need winning over, to free slaves and help those in debt, for God's cause and for travelers in need. And for the Shia practice of giving khums as well, the Quran teaches 1/5 of your battle gains belongs to God. Our next topic is Hajj, pilgrimage to Mecca. The Quran teaches that pilgrimage to the house is a duty owed to God by people who are able to undertake it. The Quran also teaches complete the pilgrimages, major and minor, for the sake of God. The Quran also teaches the pilgrimage takes place during the prescribed months, and in the Hadith, Prophet Muhammad teaches to perform Hajj if you can afford it. For the lesser and greater jihad, our first quote is from the Quran, which teaches Muslims to refrain from wrongdoing, reflecting the idea that jihad is struggle. For the lesser jihad, the Quran teaches to fight in the way of God those who fight you, but do not transgress. A great quote for theme D, peace and conflict as well. And then for the greater jihad, Prophet Muhammad said in the Hadith, we have finished the lesser jihad. Let us now focus on the greater jihad. And finally, for festivals, for Eid al-Adha, the Quran teaches Abraham was devoutly obedient to God and true in faith. For Eid al-Fitr, we are referring here to Zakah al-Fitra. The Quran teaches to give out of what you cherish, and whatever you give, God knows about it well. For Ashura in the Sunni denomination, the Quran teaches we saved Noah and those with him on the ark. And for Ashura in the Shia denomination, the Hadith teaches Muslims God loves whoever loves Hussein. Thank you for watching. I hope that's been helpful, and good luck.